Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Assessors meeting of January 8th, 2024, our first of the year. I apologize for us being a little bit tardy. It was completely my fault. I messed up the Zoom, and several people came to my rescue. In accordance with I'm going to open the meeting now. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that the meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the public Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live, on the Public Access Facebook page, https://www.facebook.com/lunenburg-public-access-cable-157-427-27095/, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube after the meeting. It will be held in person for the location provided in this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Feel free. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. Remote participation from a computer, please use the link. I'll read it to you. It's https://zoom.zoom.us/j/891-4589-4468, or just join Zoom meeting with the ID 891-4589-4468. From a telephone, you may dial 888-475-4499 and enter the same ID, webinar ID, which is 891-4589-4468, £. If you have not registered with Zoom, you'll be asked for your name and an email address. No participant ID isn't needed, just press £, when asked. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting will be recorded and can be found at the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel. Did I just duplicate that? Maybe. http://www.youtube.com/user/Lunenburg-access-videos/ I lied. It was /Lunenburg-access/videos within 24 hours of this meeting. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those that are reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. I will now call the meeting to order. Do I have any public comment from the board? Because we're Zoom, thank you. I'll get this right one day.
Well, you're doing good.
I'd like to take a roll call of all those present, including
Randy Sweezy,
as the
interim assessor.
Sarah Hammer.
Brian LaFond.
John Rabbit.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
That's okay. Right. What team?
Any of these board members like to have a open comment?
Very good, Mr. Chairman. I will, I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to defer to that topic, specific topics.
Yes.
But I think with regard to having observed other meetings now, a lot of them are skipping lots of this read-on stuff, especially when we're running late. I would think we could conceivably cut that down.
I will double check with
I
the
bet you
town
would like to, too.
manager because that is so much fun.
I know, but it's redundant and people really don't want to hit it. Besides, they wouldn't be here.
Right. But the rest of your comments are
Oh,
covered
okay.
right in the agenda?
Yes, please.
Any comments from? Ms. Cameron?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. I just want to remind people that my term ends in May, and I do intend to finish serving on the Board of Assessors at the end of May. I have other plans come June, so that means all of you watching at home who would like to do something on the Board of Assessors, you should pull papers and run. Thank you.
That's a huge disappointment for us. Having said that, I'm also up in May, so we'll see what happens.
I will be out of the country for several weeks, so it's not going to be.
Nice.
I used to be out of the country all the time, and I would zoom in.
It's my 20th wedding anniversary. I'm not.
Oh, you missed it, I mean, that's all.
Missed
I'm
that
sorry, I'm
anniversary.
so sorry,
Sorry.
Becky, thank you.
I'm going to bring us back on the topic. The next item on the agenda is the status. There is no one here in the public. Is there anyone with a raised hand on Zoom? Seeing none.
I don't see anybody else.
Okay. Then we'll move forward to the status report from the interim principal assessor. Do you have a copy of this? Oh.
I did it before I left the office and I did not print it. But I can kind of give you a rundown.
If you would, when you're done tomorrow sometime, just send us a copy of that. So,
Okay, I can
Thank you.
remember everything is on it.
I'm sorry, you're a little bit out of order. New minutes.
I have that after the status report.
2 minutes.
Did you?
Oh, status report from, I apologize. Minutes per business. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing it, it's late.
Well, we also, in order to get the agenda on one page, had to reduce the size of the font, so good luck.
Thank you. I couldn't.
So,
That was not an eye roll.
I know. You don't blame me.
so since the last meeting, I am still alone in the office. Sheila is still out on a medical leave. And it's been quite a task running everything alone. Julie did come down today, Julie, the HR director, and said she is trying to get somebody to come in on a temporary basis to help out, even just to answer phones and stuff. But
Just a question, I believe the senior tax workout thing is back in,
yes, and
is that a possibility, or she mentioned that?
she said she didn't find anybody on that program.
Okay.
for us.
Thank you. Sorry, George.
No, that's all right. And
And what was
Mr. Chairman, we used to have an older fellow that sat in the corner and loaded database and did things and vision that really put information in there. Is that person gone too?
I don't know. I don't know. what-
older than you and I?
Barely,
Sorry.
it's not much, but. But yeah, this person was doing a lot of data loading. And so that begs the question, are things not getting loaded that we would hope? And you know, Rena, I'm so hats off to you in terms of all the things you're getting doing, and you're doing a great job. I did have a chance to talk to Becky today. She's becoming a very nice, good friend because of all the questions I have with regard to 41, 42, and all that stuff. And she was going to be sending us, based on a meeting you guys had a few weeks back, and she was going to be sending us a note late this afternoon or this morning expressing a lot of concerns. But
It wasn't a lot, she already sent the note. I've already read it, you've already
You
read it.
got
I
it?
read it too.
Yes.
You read it? I did not get it. Shoot.
Okay.
This afternoon?
She sent the note over this late morning, early afternoon, I'm not sure when it was. And she just, it was a check-in, and I thanked her for checking in.
Yeah, yeah.
And it didn't sound like a lot of it.
No, she
The
wanted
way
to
you
know.
characterize it as a lot, it didn't sound like a lot on the note she sent us.
Yeah.
It may be a
She
lot,
sent to you? I'm
but
not.
I think you were copied.
I got it
I
too.
checked twice, but I don't know. So in either case, she recognizes that you are doing a yeoman's job and working really hard, and she's concerned that our office staff is basically you against the world, and whether it's 3 people that we should be having or potentially 4, their antenna are up, you know, and they're concerned about the schedules and all. And I don't know what she said in the letter, but this is what she shared with me. And, okay, and,
Okay.
I'll do that. Sarah, did I get, was I on?
You're copied.
No.
It was sent out at 10:30.
Okay, I checked it 4 times today. I don't know what's.
I'm sure it'll show up.
I'm not so sure, that's just it.
Just, please, if you could you tell if that was sent to his Gmail or to his,
It should be that,
I just want to check.
Yeah.
I know there has been some confusion about whether it's on your Gmail.
It's at Lunenburg.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is it spelled right?
Yeah, it recognizes who's.
Okay. So thank you for the heads up. I think we're fully aware of it as far as we know, unless there's something new that was not communicated to us.
No, and it really, as far as the things that were on the list, it was like new growth, submitting a new growth. It wasn't anything unusual or different, or
Yeah.
it's just things as the process goes on.
She was asking about neighborhood maps and wanting to know how.
Yeah, it's on the list.
It's on the list.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they should be coming soon.
Yeah.
The new map should be coming soon. We had a meeting several weeks ago with CIA, and everything's.
CAI.
Yeah,
What's the other name you call them?
cartographics.
Just say cartographics, we'll know who you mean.
That's their original name. In fact, there was something from cartographics the other day, and they logged in, they needed to do something, take something out of vision, so Mike and I worked on that. Mike is from cartographics. And
Mike, not Torillo, but somebody
No.
else.
no, so that's all set, so that's in the works. We should be getting copies of the new maps fairly soon. And I know one of the things Nate is asking for is a site index map. And,
Well, I guess one of my questions.
yeah, so, nobody has gotten back to me on that as yet. But, and that was one of the things we talked to Mike about.
Mike?
Torillo. So, I saw the thing she was asking for, it's nothing out of the unusual. And some of those things probably either Mike will be submitting or Nate will be submitting.
It's Mike Torillo.
Mike Torillo.
We need to be specific because we have.
So-
I know, I'm sorry.
Just, oh, go ahead.
Mike in cartography wants the stuff to make the site index map that we're gonna get from.
Well, no, it's to get our new copies of all the updated maps. So he had to do something in Vision. So he pulled off the file in Vision, and I sent it off to him. So as far as, all that will be sent in a timely basis, as the new growth is probably the first thing she wants to look at. So we'll get that loaded into Gateway, that's what she wants, the
Right.
things in Gateway.
So ultimately, none of it came as a surprise.
Yeah.
On her reminder, I'll call it a reminder.
Yeah,
It's stuff that is in the works. I didn't see anything that looked like critical path that we're not gonna make.
Okay.
Having said that, we also, you and I sat down with Mike
Mike
the 4th.
Trello.
Torillo from Vision.
On the 4th, that was the 4th, and we met with him, so go ahead.
We had kind of a Zoom meeting with Mike, and all those reports that I think I forwarded to the board members, that's basically what we were going over with Mike.
Okay.
Mike has already made some corrections to the tables. He's made some changes on building styles, on the dollar per square foot. He's gone up on some of the buildings per what he's seeing in sales. And he was coming in at about a 94% on the sales to assessment ratio.
And as you all know, we're
With
targeting
the sales.
95.
Yeah.
Between 90 and 100.
Yeah, we try to target 95, and we're really right next to
Good
it
job.
so
Yeah.
far.
With the adjustments he's making.
With the adjustments he's making. He reviewed 127 sales. Most of them were 22 sales, but he he just looked at some of the 21 sales, 22 sales. 23 sales was the one on the calendar year and the fiscal year. So Mike went over all those ratios with us. He said right now it looks like out of all his sales, the average sales price in town is about $460,000, and it's coming in with a COD of 7.82, which is tight. You can't go any higher. When you get up to a COD of 10, the Department of Revenue starts looking at you kind of.
For those people here, see,
Something that just.
Thank you. Coefficient of dispersion. How far away are we from the
Right.
market?
the other thing is, when he started, before he started anything, we were down around 87 or 88%, I think.
Right.
And
Right.
he's, with the work that he's done, we're now nearly at 95.
Yeah.
Anything else on that?
On Mike's, no, and you guys can all look at those reports. He did ask me, and I was working on that today, he wants a list of all the apartment complexes in town. So I was working on that with him today, trying to get that out to him so he can get all that going. And we don't have that many. We only have a few. I think it was 8 of them. Some of them are only small complexes. The big ones is Tri-Town and Wayland, because they're all rentals over there. The Arrive, those are all,
Right.
used to be Emerald Place. And we kind of went over some of those things with Mike, but it's all the numbers that he's working with now are all in those reports that were forwarded to you guys. I know it's a lot.
There was only 36 reports, not
So,
bad.
I was going through this, but I don't know if this is the time to ask questions. Yeah. So
If she's willing to field them,
when you said made corrections in tables, do you mean since what he sent out, or?
No.
Okay, so, okay.
And that's preliminary certification numbers, so it's not gonna be final.
Right.
So he's still gonna be tweaking those tables.
So I was doing this gets into what I was doing with that Hot Lead Your Vision card, and a lot of it is stuff that will come from his report that needs to get put into there. So I saw in the complex codes for the condos, this sounds funny to mention, but we have no condo complex number 2 to print out.
so it's possible, I'm just
West Townsend and Chase Road, Elizabeth Street, Kilburn, and Maine.
There's a condo on Sunset Lane? Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, it could be just,
It's probably
Two
two
units.
in fact, Sunset Lane, no. I know there was one, I think it was on Flat Hill. It was 2 summer rentals, but it was a condo. both halves were owned by one person, but I guess in some time he probably rents them out. But it was a condo, it was condo.
Interesting.
Neat.
Good research.
Then I had other questions.
Sure.
Let's see. We had this document that was called the cost rates prelim. And there were these codes, CDU, COM, and SIM, and I figured CDU was common dwelling units? Like, I don't know what the code stands for, like CDM, CDU.
Cost group rates.
Because I was trying to understand them so I could understand rates.
So if you want to put together a list of those and send them over to the office,
Yeah, I can do that.
I'll make sure and sit down with Rita, we'll go through them and figure out what those codes are.
Happy
Is
to
that
do that.
fair? Rather than try to do it here,
Yeah.
and look at
Yeah.
it, not being quite
Well,
sure.
The reason I was asking, because I was trying to get at,
Yeah, it is, I get the same
you know,
question.
this goes into, you know, like, there's a CDU code, and then there's new group rate codes for those CDUs, which is the cost rate and condo change sheet that he gave.
Mike.
Mike, this is all Mike Trello stuff, that, you know, he did that first generation, and now the second one. And so I was trying to just, you know, compare back and forth, and I was like, well, I can tell which ones. I think this is the single, I think this is residential.
SIN is single.
Yeah, single
Yes.
units and, you know, commerce, but I don't know what CDU and CDM are, so I was like, I don't even know what to do. Because I was trying to take these and then go to the site index land class. And then I have another set of questions, and I'll set the codes in a list. But land class C, E, I, O, R, and S, like, it was clear to me R is residential, but then I wasn't clear about,
I'll have to look through those reports, just because I haven't heard every page.
yeah. And then within the site index table, we've got indexes within the subcategories. And then what I was trying to pull out was the site index to put on the vision card, right? Of like, here's our codes of site indexes and what they mean.
Your site index would be down where, on your landline.
Yes,
On the
yes.
cards,
But
right?
there's a site index, and then there's a neighborhood.
An influence, a neighborhood
Influence.
Right.
And the site index, it was my understanding those are the adjustments for, you know, different scenarios we experience with the land, like if you have a railroad crossing behind your house, or you have a road, and this gets into other questions I have, but, so that was my understanding what a site index is, and then the neighborhood is, you know, when you have a cluster, a significant cluster, that you can call a neighborhood, so like waterfront versus, dry land, you know.
I'm not sure
which-
that's all.
Because it's confusing to me, because, you know, for the site index, you know, we have all of these for the different classes, but then when we go to residential, we've got our site index now seems to be sort of neighborhoody, and that it's got 1A, 1B, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, and 1A is your waterfront good.
Good, waterfront average,
Yeah.
waterfront low
And then
average.
there's only like, there's really only like about 5 site indexes in your residential.
Yeah, yeah.
Neighborhoods?
Are they
Or site-
neighborhoods
No,
or
site
site?
indexes.
Okay,
Um, Because, you know, you have the ones for the waterfront, and then you have like your average neighborhood, and that's probably the most part of the town. And I know there's not very many. Then, and I think I told you before, it was done different in this town, because I just had site indexes with $1 per square foot for that area of
Yeah.
town. We're now, in here, they have a site index and then an influence code.
yeah.
And how, that's a little bit unfamiliar to me.
Yeah, it's unclear to me, and I'm trying to get a handle on it, because I don't know. And when I was looking through to build, say, the how to read your card, you know, site index for one town is
Different from another.
different from another, so I need clarification, so I can write that and what it is for our town, because like, we have some neighborhoods, but are those neighborhoods defined by the site index? How do we need to clarify what site index means on those cards, and then what the influence is there, and,
Yeah.
and if it's gonna be under neighborhood, we just need to explain that it's the influence inside the neighborhood that we've already allocated as site. So that's where I'm at with trying to understand what's going on in here. And then I just had a couple more questions, hang on. And I will send them to you too. It really was just like, what are we doing for site index and what is our neighborhood? And how do we want to, how are we defining that based on what people have done in the past here, so that we can make sure we're consistent and it's not conflated, because we're using site index in multiple ways, and and neighborhood in multiple ways, and when we get to that other part, I'll talk about it, but the rest, I was just trying to pull out what the land curve was for each of those different codes and what that meant in terms of these other things I was seeing.
So will we still need to cover status or review of property cards later, or did that take care of it?
Actually, hang on. No.
Okay, because we.
Do you want to do
I
it
didn't
now?
want to
or-
know, I want to jump
If
ahead.
I could, I'd like to ask Sabrina a couple
Yeah.
questions before we move on. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Sure, thank you. Hey, without using too many names, did you get the email from me from a certain person named Mike? And I told him that you would respond to him?
Oh, I saw that.
No, I saw that too.
Mike?
Gary?
Is a question about a card?
It might have been,
I'll pull it.
No, it was,
Yeah,
yes, it was a question, there was a change in ownership, and they wanted to make sure that they were now listed as the owner of whatever this property was. Was it commercial?
No, I think it's residential.
I don't remember now if it's
Yeah.
commercial. And it was, and he asked to make sure that you were involved.
Well, anybody that's been, I've been really keeping up with emails, so anybody that's asking questions, I've tried to respond
Yeah,
to.
so
We both saw it. I'm pretty sure that Rena saw
Oh, I
it.
saw it.
You know, she
Okay.
may not have responded yet. What day was that?
That was last week.
Yeah. Can't imagine.
Or maybe he wrote earlier, it's just that I didn't get to my mail until last week.
We'll follow up together
Okay.
on Mike.
And- I mean, I also sent you a note, and I hope you got that. It was that there's a monthly report that's generated by a research firm that identifies all the sales that happened for the month in town of Lunenburg.
Oh, you're talking about the banker and tradesman, the
Yes.
water report.
Yeah,
They send that out to us once a month.
right.
We had just recently got, I think it was November or December, they run a little bit behind.
Yeah.
That comes right from the Warren Group.
Now, can we get a copy? Can I get a copy of when it comes through? Because I just like to, let's see how close we are.
Yeah, in fact, the last one that we
Yes.
got, I gave us all a copy, but I haven't
Yeah,
had any.
Physically here, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I haven't had any new ones since then.
Right, so is it possible to go back and get the past year? I can go, if you just point to me, I'll go dig it out and find it. I just don't know how to find it.
I don't know how long. I used to get them once a month at my office in Groton.
Yeah,
We paid for a service with banker and tradesman, and so they automatically sent them. But that was really the first one I saw come through in an email to me. So I'm not sure if that's something new or,
you know,
because we just paid the bill.
yeah, they can pass it. The reason why I'm asking is, I'm saying, oh, this is a good feedback loop. Because if there's been a sale, we should then be able to confirm that we've sent a note out to the folks with the inquiries, and then we've done a post visit. So it's just another way. And I'm
Well, we
thinking,
send out the sales verification letters right through the deeds we receive.
right, so it's just a secondary go spot check to make sure we haven't missed anything, or something didn't get dropped that month or whatever. When you're dealing with a lot of people, a lot of paper, if you're not.
And unfortunately, the Warren Group banker and tradesman, they include everything in their sales.
Right.
And they don't code them out like our
Well, they
sales.
code them up by condo, by residential,
Not
by apartment.
by the sales codes though. If it's a family sale, they put it in anyway.
Right.
If it's a divorce, they put it in anyway. So you're getting everything for the month,
Yeah.
as opposed to the ones we have to use, we code them out. We
That's
only
part of
use valid sales.
As long as I can go in and every so often take a look and just say, did we get that? I do a random sampling, it's like a little production line, and you want to hit a certain sample level in order to have a confidence.
Yeah, that was the
That's
first
all
time,
getting done.
and that came directly to me in an email.
Yeah.
I'd have to find out.
So is that something that we would have to pay for a subscription to, or somebody's paying that company to do that for us?
Well, we do pay banker and tradesman.
Okay. So that may be a regular
Yeah.
report that we can dig up.
And it could have been they were going to Sheila, because, she did all the deeds.
She did all the work, yes. It's very,
Bless her heart.
very likely that it was going to Sheila. But we'll
I think that's
focus
a smart
down. That's
thing to
it.
pick up.
It's another quality control check,
Yeah.
so that's worth it.
You look at those easy spots.
Yep.
Okay, so we got that. Hey, could we, when we start receiving abatement requests, can we start reporting that as part of your, how many did we receive? And, I mean, my fear is that we're not gonna get that many from this one, because everybody's generally happy. There were some people that even contacted me because they thought they had.
So this one what?
What's that?
This one what?
This particular release of the taxes that just went out.
Well, it was all estimated, so.
It's all
Yeah,
estimated, so
that's
that's,
the-
we're not gonna get a lot probably.
It's from last assessment.
Yeah, but if we're
We should
thinking
do
that
We
there
should.
could be some significant shifting, we're gonna get a lot of inquiries, and we're gonna get a lot of requests, and there'll be a lot of people that don't know how to fill out the abatement forms, and we should consider having some sort of a training session.
So just to be clear, let me stop for a
We
second.
can't help them
Let's-
fill them out.
Right,
We can get-
let's be clear though. We don't expect to see any abatement requests now for the bills that just went out, because all the abatements were filed last year for this period. We're still talking about the estimated ones. The only time we might see abatements is after we come up with the new actual tax bills in end of March.
Yeah.
Actually, somebody
April
came in
1st.
today with an abatement form.
For this year?
Oh.
And I, he's somebody I've dealt with in the past, and he has quite a large projects going on here. And I just said to him, because you have to, he said, can you stamp these in and take these? And I said, no. I said, bring them back in March, the end of March, and we'll accept them then. He said, oh, okay.
For
I
next
said,
year.
For 24, it's a 24. He thought, because he deals with a lot of different communities,
He was just
and he
bringing
knew
up
it was
the
January 1st.
But
He has felt, he
indeed,
has,
we should not get any from the estimated bills, and that was
No.
what we got in error, essentially.
So, but if we could start monitoring that and just getting a sense of how many we really do receive, I know we're gonna have to know how many we're gonna sign, but there's an investigation portion that happens before we do the signing.
But all the abatement requests will have to be done during the month of April before May 1st. So we should be able to get a report when we get to May about how many abatements we got.
Right.
You're absolutely right, but it's only a one-time thing. We shouldn't have to.
and I will set up a log, just as I did last year.
Right.
Put the
Okay.
abatement number on it, when it came in,
Right.
and, when their 90 days are up. And
So this is not a special request
This
for
is
a
not.
regular ongoing thing. This is just gonna be a one-time, because that's when abatements are done.
So we're looking at 2 months away, which is basically 3 meetings from now. And
No, it's April.
February, March, April.
And none of the, we shouldn't get a summary till May, because they have till May 1st. So all abatements will come in by May 1st. You may give us an update during April and say how
Well,
many we've
I'm
gotten so
sure
far.
as soon as the actual tax bill goes out, some people will come in
Yep.
and want to file.
Yeah.
And we'll start accepting those, we will start date stamping them in, start putting them on a log. And if you guys at a meeting, like I could,
Yeah.
so to date, we've gotten 14 abatements. To date, we've gotten 100
Sure.
abatements.
And so the question is, what are we doing to gear up to be able to respond to those, us as a group? And, you know, are we gonna hire an aide again, what are we gonna do there? Is
Well,
it-
I think we have to find out just what kind of a year it's gonna be.
Yeah,
You know, how many abatements we're gonna have, and
right.
I'm sure Nate is still on board, so.
Oh, yeah. And so the question is, do we reserve Nate? What are we anticipating? I'm anticipating it's gonna be above. It's more than the last couple of them for sure.
What?
What's
What's
gonna be above? Okay, the request,
You said, yeah, it's gonna be about, I don't know what that means.
okay.
What's gonna be?
The abatement request.
We only had one last year.
So we had a couple for sure.
400, whatever it was.
440.
440.
And so I'm anticipating that there's going to be quite a bit of a shift, and there's going to be a lot of interest. Some of them are just going to be interested and want to know what happened, and there's going to be support needed there, someone answering question for them. And then there's going to be the load that goes along with, okay, now we got to process them. Even if it doesn't materialize, that's great. But if we can be prepped and ready and know what we're going to do, then we're going to be one step ahead of the game. Now, you just shared with me something I didn't know. We can't hold a seminar on how to fill out an abatement form? Okay, so that means that we will,
What she said is, we can't fill them out for them.
we can't fill them out for them, but we can't train them to show them how to,
It's very simple.
why do they have 400 people go to this LIC meeting to fill out the abatements?
Because the local real estate agents jumped on board about that, and they gave, and with the Lake Association, they made this,
Right. So I'm not so sure that the Lake Association isn't gonna do something. I'm not so sure the local realtors are gonna do something.
that's fine,
And that's
we
fine.
don't get involved.
So can we help them make sure they deliver the right kind of information and create a bridge to them to help make this thing as smooth as possible and not allow
because
people
you're
to
gonna
go
be
spiraling out?
voting on them, so you don't want to, you're playing both sides of the fence here. Let them fill out their abatements, then you work with what you've got to decide whether it's approved or denied.
Otherwise, conflict of interest.
Okay.
Well, okay, we'll get to my part and I'll share with you why, with regard to our values and ethics piece, that essentially we're trying to help the community as much as we possibly can. And that's what I'm trying to do here is.
In a
see
way
how we
to
can
help the
We all are.
communities.
Yeah, oh, I know we are.
In a
And
way to
that
help
can
the
be
communities is your public outreach on the website.
Yep.
Print your values.
Yep.
If you
everybody
have
have
any
a computer?
questions,
Do they all?
call the office.
With one person. That's all we got is one
Well,
person
we
right now.
might have another one.
Okay, and even then two is
Well,
not
no.
enough.
So we got 10 things we're going on
Oh, I
at the
agree.
same time, so let's try to
Let's
stay
just
on
get
top
the
of
numbers.
it.
Let's
Stay
get
on
the
top. You have some
I'm
questions?
just gonna send you my report this now, I've lost my train of
Train of
thought that I put in.
So, we're, okay. There's nothing else on your report?
I don't remember what else.
Okay. I probably shouldn't have allowed quite as many questions as I did on both. Well, yours,
one more
and yours comes under something, I don't know, what's it about?
Okay, did we buy the CAI software that allowed us to create neighborhoods in the query by neighborhood?
I think we already had that ability in. when
They
we
were
talked
selling us
to-
something and then
Tim.
we had.
No, what they were selling us was, it was an advanced query, and it was a lot of money, and, it's not really
It wasn't,
something we need.
It was beyond the scope of what just the assessors need, so it was not part of our contract base, it was part of the contract base from
Okay,
For the
town.
other town
So,
departments that use
We
it.
will, we can take that up with Heather and find out what her thoughts are on additional stuff.
yeah, and so the vision system can create, without us buying anything, can create neighborhoods? Or how do we do that?
We have,
That would not be vision, that would,
well,
I don't know.
Vision has neighborhood on the card, right?
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
but we should be able to pull out of cartographics, like a neighborhood for all the waterfront properties.
Or something,
or
yeah.
So
something
does
like that.
cartographics have the software to do that right now, or?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
so,
wait.
And that's what Nate has requested, is a site index.
Right, that's right, that's essentially it.
That's really easy to do with the data they have.
I don't know, so you're like years ahead of me. There's so many questions.
She's actually an expert on some of this. So.
Yeah. So is there a plan to start that, to kick that off? Is it, what do we have in
Kick
motion?
what off? What do you?
Okay,
What
we're back to
is
the,
it?
we're back to the neighborhoods, and we're back to
Nate has
cartographics.
already requested from Cartographics,
Okay,
CAICIA,
To do that, right?
to do that.
okay. And have they responded, or given them any dates at all?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't know if they've responded directly to Nate.
Right. As far as we know, the request was being filled recently. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else on your report? We should report that we spoke to Nate today. Was that today? That was today.
Yes, you and I spoke to
On a
him.
variety of topics, so.
Yeah.
Can you share?
There's many of them can't hear. Here, in public,
Oh, okay.
because they were regarding some ATV and
I see.
stuff, so.
So, are we gonna talk about that response?
What response? Nope, that'll be during, executive session.
As long as we don't use the names, there was a statement made that said that, and I went back and checked that.
Okay, we're gonna be out of order in about 2 seconds, so
Okay.
try to keep it,
I'm just sitting there talking to the lead auditor.
keep it on.
Okay, go ahead.
No, we're talking to, what's the lead auditor mean? Who's the lead auditor? What are you talking about?
Rena.
No?
Rena.
We're still
She's
talking
not
about,
right?
right?
She's,
I'm asking, is this, can we, if we've made an agreement with a party, and even though they may have decided to pursue other parts of it, and from what I've read, is the ATV, you can walk in and get more, get the same, or even get less. But if we've established an agreement, that is
we haven't
our.
established agreement. Go ahead.
Okay.
This is out of order.
Okay.
We have no executive session today, so
Right.
this is
Yeah.
out of order.
I'm asking
I'm
for
just-
clarification of the process, not the individuals. You
Yeah,
have to, we
everything's
have
being
to.
brought into it, so you really shouldn't talk about that at all.
Okay.
If you want to do executive session, we will set one up.
Well,
And in fact, we're probably going to have one on the 22nd for all the exemptions and what was the other thing? Well, 2 things.
The chapter lands you can sign in an open meeting, because
Okay.
that's basically just following state statute on the acreage and what they plant or whatever, forestry and all that. Forestry, they have a forest management plan. The exemptions should be in executive sessions,
Yep.
because you have to look at income.
Correct. So,
And those really, we should start, not as much as the chapter lands, but the exemptions, because people are coming in asking, they're gonna have to be on the fourth quarter tax bill. So we should set a meeting just to do
so at
exemptions.
the last meeting, we talked about having a meeting on the 22nd of January for specifically that. If we need to, if it's a executive session, then we can expand it to whatever
Yeah.
we need to talk about in executive session.
So what we do realize is we're out of order. We were talking in process here.
You're being really specific about process, negotiation strategy, and we're
No,
not.
we're not talking about strategy.
I'm going to call that out of order until we get
Okay,
an
as a
executive
chairman, I
session.
respect that.
I just can't figure out how we're going to come to any kind of conclusion without
Getting into detail.
explaining too much detail. Well, so we're not.
So we're back to approval of minutes, because my report, I
Well,
don't
we have-
remember everything I put in it, but I will email it to you all.
You had
And it was basically.
a draft of the executive session minutes of the 18th, but we never saw it, so we can't approve it yet.
Okay, we can do it on that.
Which one's that?
We do have a set of minutes from the 18th that were created by Danielle
Yeah.
for the,
Yeah.
I'll highlight the things that I changed. But is there any, did anybody have, before I, yes, let me do the things that I changed. On the second page, under review of and approved invoices. She had written chapter lien, L-E-A-N. It should be L-I-E-N. And again, the word lien underneath that in the same paragraph was L-E-A-N, and I changed it to L-I-E-N. After the report, status report from the interim, I added Becky Boucher, her last name, Boucher, how does she pronounce it? Boucher?
Closure.
I added her last name because first names don't really give us anything. Mike.
You know, when you dealt with these people for 30
I
years,
know.
if we even forget they have a last name.
On the third page, John Rabbit had a question about abatements requests, when abatement requests are due, Brown Farm states, I add the word, normally the bills go out on January 1st because that's what I was intending, and the abatement requests were back by February 1st, changed it to February 1st, and then I added this year in Lunenburg, before the bills will go out on May 31st, March 31st, will be sent out, and the abatement runs till, period, ends till May
Yes, May
1st.
1st.
On the next one, on the senior center update, after what's on record currently for this fiscal year, I said Jack will investigate further to give us a little more information about the, which that's great. I added that to get it on the card. Get it on the
Pressure on, I know that.
Well, after I get through mine, you guys can change what you want. On page, I think it's 4, review property cards for recent abatement requests, investigate differences. Brian Font states that the condominiums do not value the building, and I added separately from the land, and it is built into the sales value. Just to make sure that was clear. The next one was this discussed? I didn't add anything there. I don't know if we discussed assessment reconciliation at that point. That was when we had asked.
Yeah, we had already discussed that previously.
Sort of, so I don't know
So
how.
I don't know, unless there's something people want to add, I don't know that there's more to add.
At that meeting, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did have a copy, I picked
Yeah.
up one through, and I only have one complaint, you put my name on top.
Well, I
You've been here longest.
Yeah, no.
Actually, I started with your card because you brought it up at the meeting and you had a bunch of questions, so I was,
I'm only pulling away.
I actually was looking at that one specifically because I wanted to understand what you were talking about, so I started with that one. That's why you're.
Under the corrective action request, Danielle had written, John Rabbit proposes they utilize the ISO 18094 format and build a database to support, but I didn't know if we need to add anything to that.
Yeah, it's basically you buy in a standard and what it is for $200. And the person that buys it owns it. If the town of Lunenburg buys it, the whole town can use it. If John Rabbit buys it, only John Rabbit can use it.
Okay, so
that's
you can clarify that this is, should the town purchase this,
Right.
what's it, software? I guess I would call it
Now
software.
it's a standard, it's just a standard.
Should we purchase, so if you want to change the wording on that one,
That's
feel free.
fine, that's fine. I'll clarify, because I'm going to come back to
Okay.
that.
Okay, and those are all the changes that I had suggested based upon my reading.
I got distracted, but the assessment reconciliation, we didn't really talk about that further because we had already talked about it the previous one.
So it was on the agenda.
Yeah,
We thought we might go over some more, but we didn't
We
really,
didn't.
so
so that should just be,
we could just cross that off.
exactly,
Fine, that's perfect.
sorry,
No, that's perfect.
doesn't need to be on there anymore.
I'll make the changes.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you want to change on these minutes, the 18th, the
No.
public meeting? Any changes from you on the?
Now, I just had a question, I'm sorry. With regard to the listing, I believe if a house didn't file for an abatement, right, they, in this case, not on Lake, they didn't get it. They had to file the abatement to get it.
So are we talking about the minutes?
I'm talking about the report you handed out.
This report?
Yeah.
The reconciliation?
I handed that out a couple weeks ago. Can you answer your question again, because I was like thinking about
And some of
changing
it,
the
I was
minutes.
going through and
And-
looking at it and trying to get a sense for how did it flow. And I noticed that my favorite course is not on the lake. And it seemed like there were some people that were way off, but it would seem that maybe there were a few names missing.
Oh, so all I did was I looked at the spreadsheet that our previous assessor had made, and I just went through the first 10. So I didn't
Okay.
decide in any which way, shape, or form if somebody was on a lake or do a comparative analysis like that. I was actually looking to see if any of the cards were correct.
Okay.
So,
And my conclusion was they were not.
so it was, she took a sample and.
And there's
from that
no need to
sample-
continue.
Right,
Okay.
okay,
not.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, do you have any other changes to the minutes? We get back to the minutes from December 18th.
No?
Fabulous. I'll take a motion that with the removal of the assessment reconciliation comment, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion to remove assessment reconciliation from the minutes of,
And then approve them as,
and approve
Corrections with
the
corrections.
correct, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'll second that. What did you say?
all in favor of removing that one section and approving the remainder of the amended minutes, say aye.
Aye,
Thank you.
thank you for finishing that motion.
So, Mr. Chairman, just going to move off to that, just a clarification.
On the minutes?
Yeah, the board of assessors minutes and what has been completed. We didn't have December 4th, it doesn't show as being completed.
It got sent to Ellen.
And the 11th is still sitting outstanding too.
Everything was sent to Ellen. When did you run that, today?
This morning. Yes,
I'll find out why she hasn't posted it.
yeah.
She was off for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I'll find out why Kathy didn't post it.
There you go.
We go with that.
Oh, yes.
These should have been posted. I made a point of getting everything out so we're as up to date as possible.
I
Before the
know, you're
first-
working hard at it.
Before the first of the year, and in fact, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I didn't check it today.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, yes.
Isn't it, you know, you can play football, if you can't cover the whole of your line, you're hoping the guy next to you or behind you is gonna cover it for you.
That's why we're here. That's why we're a team. We're a team. So that was approval of the minutes. Can we move on to signatures for invoices, approval of vouchers, payroll, billing, etc.?
I have, if you would just sign some of these, they're the blanks, but
Tell us.
they're, yeah.
Time sheets?
They're time sheets.
Okay. There's a
So
lot of people here that,
we have to turn them in every 2 weeks.
Right.
and, So that's only the approved sheet that gets turned in, that the board has signed, and then the time sheets are attached to that.
thank you. Did we have to take motions on that? I don't think we did, right? I didn't.
You didn't, you gave that to me. Yeah, did you?
Rena, during your interim report, did you want to report on that?
That's for you. What?
No, thank you. Did you give this to me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. It's not over $50, right?
No.
Okay.
Not yet, unless you scratch it.
No, it's rattling around. Thank you. Rena, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Very kind.
Anyway, we have 3 invoices from MFS that have to be approved.
2 for the amount of?
One for the amount of $4,950, one for $600, and one for $4,875.
Well, there were different amounts, weren't there?
And, well, they're different
I
months.
know, Yeah, glanced at it real quickly and I thought they were the same.
I also, and I'm gonna have to check with Karen when she comes in tomorrow. These were sitting on Sheila's desk and they're invoices from Vision. And the dates are on these from November. They're due December 1st, 23. I don't know about that one, but this one is, oh, these are both 23. You know, I'm gonna have to check on, because there's been invoices, I had you guys sign invoices a few weeks back for Vision that had already been paid. And it's because they get emailed to Sheila and she hasn't been here.
So that,
It's confusing.
and some of the stuff has been emailed to the town manager.
Yeah,
So
Heather,
there may be some, well, ships crossing in the night or duplication of effort, and we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen.
and I did get a tutorial again today on how to enter all these invoices into the email.
Oh, good.
Working with Steve Barrett, the interim town accountant. He's been very helpful.
He's clearly very familiar with munis.
Yes, he was very familiar. He was the town accountant for over 20 years, for the town of Acton. And he's our interim right now. He's training the new assistant town accountant.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Rita, is something going on with Munis? Are there any difficulties?
I don't know, because I'm just learning how to use it.
Yeah. No, a comment came up that, and I think the source might have been misunderstood, but in terms of interest rate charges and things like that, but
Oh, that
As long as
has
it's
nothing
not-
to do with us. All that is on the
Yeah.
tax collectors.
Right.
yeah, thank goodness.
Anything else for us to sign?
No, it's all the signatures,
Wow, another check mark.
Rolling.
Are we doing any exemptions today? Not today, we're gonna do them all at the next meeting, even though some of them could be done in public session.
Chapter Lane could be.
So then it should not be done during the executive session.
No, the exemption should be done.
No, no.
Exemptions,
No,
Chapter
It's a chapter
Lane,
lane.
Chapter Lane can be done in the public.
Shouldn't be done at a executive session because they are public records, so we should do them in a public meeting.
They can be done.
And in fact, okay, okay.
Is this open?
Which may mean we'll hold it till the 29th, because we won't be able to do an open meeting on the 22nd, because I haven't set up any of the visuals. Yes,
When I read this, I assumed that we were gonna have a general, and not just a general discussion, but review and approve exemptions. I thought that was an inroad into showing you where we are in terms of our progress working on.
that's under new business.
Is it under new business?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem. This was just to review and approve.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to
good man.
make things so that we can all chew them up and swallow them at once.
Yeah.
Smaller pieces, so that's good, thank you. Good question though.
Yeah.
So we'll do chapter land on the 29th,
Okay.
and we'll do senior and veteran exemptions on the 22nd
Okay.
at an executive session, which I think we'll probably have to open up a public meeting, close it, and go into executive session immediately. So we'll post an agenda, but we won't have much on it. Thank you. Status of community outreach, and I sort of moved the how to read your vision card under that because it's
That's fine.
going to be
That is-
part of our website, I think. But did you want to take some time to go through? I know you have an extensive, you're ready for today, right?
To go through everything?
Whatever you want to show us today.
Okay.
We're happy
So,
to show that you have made, what's this? That you've made progress.
That's,
Oh, yeah, okay.
that's, you know,
Happy that we have progress, and you can tell us what that progress is.
okay. So with regard to Sue, we're still on for early March. Rena has some material that you were going to share on the exempt piece, which should also cause me to get involved in looking at the exemptions as we have it. And I was going to huddle up and see, or actually was going to hit it later on in this meeting with regard to the exemptions, and because I've had some conversations with Becky, DOR, in terms of what we might be able to do. And I was going to try and roll some of that in there, provided we have something to nail down. Also, if we could also, during that session, share part of the fact that we are working on a website, but inside the website is the whole issue of the property cards that they really want to be going over and paying attention to. And there's a whole pile of other things that we would be working on. And I don't know if you want to share that as related to our plan and what we are doing. It's up to you. How many cards do you want to play? We're going to deliver this no matter what. I'm not worried about that, but how good will it be? So how far do we want to go in sharing information with the people who do show up? That's if anybody shows up.
Just one comment on that is, so the rollout of the website may not be everything at once. I don't expect it to be everything at once. I'm hoping that you get a lot in there,
It should be
but some
fun.
other things will be
Yeah,
added
we
over
can
time,
test.
so.
The thing is, the structure, this website is to provide specific information consistent with what is already been put out there, but to augment it with a lot of other stuff, as well as provide I call it the toolbox of our own stuff, and that people can go in and look at and see if they have any questions. Maybe they want to do it themselves. It includes analytics, databases, and things like that, and where people can go. I feel safe in even talking about creating a directory. If you're interested in, whatever you're interested in, sales and things like that, this is where the state has analytics. You can go and find out what the average sale price is and what the growths are and such. So I'm saying, if it would be okay, we can, and I'll come back in 2 more weeks and share with you what we, 3 more weeks, and share what we've got there, and perhaps you could pick out what you might want to share at that meeting.
Prioritizing?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw. So what we want to share at the meeting with this.
At the senior center, and so I don't know how far we want to go. If it's just a function of sharing what exemptions are, even then, if there's something I'll share with you with regard to the exemptions and material that we're handing out right now. So,
If I understood you correctly, you want to make a point of having some part of the website ready for when we do the presentation, so that we can reference it, people go out and take a look at it. I think that's a valuable approach if we can try to do that.
I've only got 2 months, and we have to test it. And it does mean that we're going to be tearing, the assessors portion, how they got the cute little blocks and things like that, and some of the descriptions are good, and some of them are, so I'm leery about what happens, and I haven't gone back, and I have not talked to my coordinator, what's her name? Cara, about what we are thinking. But I want to meet with you guys first and show you the stuff that we're playing with, and then find out from Cara how big a deal is this in terms of making changes to that page. It's pretty much that page, but every page has the same header and has a similar drawdown on the side. How do we make that work with all the stuff we have? Now the good news is those sites are all pulled down. You can keep pulling them down forever. They're not just one page. And then we can create all sorts of links, but how much of that is it going to take? Because this is going to be not anything small. It's going to be something that has a lot of information, a lot of stuff in there. So I don't know what kind of burden I'm creating on the other side. So
keep twisting until you hear them scream.
I didn't say
Which
that.
could be sooner rather than later, but
I have some people who get so upset about me twisting and not being sensitive.
So, well,
According to sensitive people, it's never been my
I have a question though.
Yeah.
Do you have the do we have the capability of doing a sandbox so we can test things before we put them live?
Isn't that a nice question? Why didn't we do it the last 3 times we changed over? I don't know that, Brian. I don't. You know,
Okay.
And all I know is Kara is very, very competent. I'm really impressed with that young lady. And is that okay to say?
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, you can tell her boss.
Who's her boss? Who is she? Is she on?
If the town manager's watching.
Oh, yeah.
Kara's great.
I can't speak highly enough about her. So that's where I am. I'm still pulling pieces. I'm getting new, Sarah, I just got your, somebody just sent me something today. And,
Yeah.
But I'm not in my section yet. So anyway, that's the question. I will come back to you and hopefully you can give me comments back because I'm going to give you some information and you can take a look at it. And I sent you a high-def PDF that you can't see on your screen unless you can get to a good size screen. Or you can go ahead and try and print something up really big. But
I did it on my phone.
my printer's does have limitations. It works off a big roll of paper that you can go 30 feet, but I don't think that's going to be helpful to you. So anyway, that's where I am in that piece, and in terms of getting there. And I know it's early March. I don't know how far I can get. It's killing me.
Well, we could pick out the key things that we really want to have ready for March.
Yeah, or we can still show them and say, this is coming, pay attention to it. It doesn't stop us from highlighting Sarah saying, read that property card. Yeah.
Right.
Given our history, I printed out one, Sarah, but I'll take another one. And Sarah, this is very well done. This is well done. And, yeah.
Okay,
So that's where I am.
thank you on the update on the web improvements. It sounds like
Now, remember, you don't have the web improvements here. You
No,
have a response to the...
an update on the web improvements.
You only have a response right now to the senior center.
Well, you talked about the web a lot.
Yeah, only because I was asking to bring in. If you'd like,
Okay.
can I jump?
No,
in?
that's okay, you can jump into that, please, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
I thought you made the segue.
You were
I
hoping.
thought you were.
While you were
Or I would have
going.
passed that across, I'm sorry.
Okay, here you go. For your not being able to read in the slight edification. Here's what the website is. There you go. I do have 3 of them this time. There more of them this
Let's
time.
put these on the wall in the office.
Well, you know what? I was thinking that once we get it further fleshed out, why don't we hang it up outside and show people we're doing something?
I'm okay with that.
Material.
So you can't see it, because I can't see it, but anyway, it's just a, Jesus, Mary Joseph, I still can't see it. Can anybody read this?
You know what, I can see your headers, which is fine.
It's like
Okay.
it's like a web,
Yeah.
for those of you here, there's on either video or Zoom, it's like a site map, essentially,
right.
for improvements that we wish to make to the, only to the assessor's page of the town website. Some other people may want to pick up some of this, but that's fine, that's up to them.
And outside of this site map that I sent you in high-def PDF is all the support materials, links, anything you want to see, pages and such. And so just, what I'm hoping is that you, when you get a chance, you sit down, take a look at it, write comments to each side, on each side of this. That's what I used to do with my clients all the time. I walk in, give them in, and I say, here's a piece of paper, scribble down what you're thinking or what you would like. And then when you get a chance, take a picture of it and send it to me, because I can blow it up and I can read it and I can incorporate it in. Imagine that. And you know what happened? Is every time I went into the customer sites, those charts were on the walls.
Right.
Because they were bringing their staff in and asking them, what do you think about this plan? And so this is what, and I
Yeah.
apologize for the ink
That's
and everything
fine.
else, but it's,
Don't worry about it. This is a great update, and this just reaffirms that the person who volunteered to do this
is a sucker.
is exactly the right person that should be doing
It's a
this. Thank you.
sucker. Okay, so the other part of it is one of the initiating, every one of the sites that we've explored, and there's a ton of them, I've been going all over the place and finding out, oh, you only get 2 people in your department, one's the lead assessor and the board chairman. How does that happen? And these are bigger towns, and some is a city. So in either case, I've been playing around with the whole concept of the ethics piece, and I went out and pulled, it's not, I just, because I didn't print them up, but the IAO, the MMA, or whatever it is.
Oh, this is just.
These are just their statements with regard to the ethics.
And then I came back and looked at, wait a second, Massachusetts has a conflict of interest in the ethics statement as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying, you know what, that's a safe place to start. No bribes. Imagine that. Brian, I appreciate the pen, but I'm going to keep
It's
it.
not for me.
Rena, thank you very much. I don't consider that. But in either case, no bribes, things like that. So I'm going to take those particular pieces, but I also like some other parts. And Sarah, don't steal it on me, because.
What, this, oh, I'll give it back here.
Okay, and there's some, confidential information that really isn't brought up here, and recognition. And the one I really like is with the IAO. Okay, IAO. They have a set of core values, because we're looking at the vision, the mission, strategy, and values. I'm going to lift up everything but the first piece of that, and use that as our core values piece. And
So you're starting to talk about the content of what you want.
oh,
on the
yeah,
website.
yeah,
That's
each
great.
one of the sites. And so there's a lot of people, truthfulness, conflict of interest, where they go into it further. And the thing of is, what we're positioned to say is that we as board members and of course as our assessing organization, these are the things we're going to try and live by. And one of the things that I would like to inject in there is I said we will become compliant with the ISO standard, ISO 18093, I think, or 92, whatever. And and what that does is it's built for governments.
If you're watching from home, this is just an explanation of what the property tax exemption possibilities are.
That's what's on our wall right now.
And on our wall.
On our wall, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
But,
here you go, I'll show you.
no,
Well, see that one. Sorry. Okay. That's what we've got down there. And if you take a look at it, and then I went back and actually went to what the sites believe, the 41C, which is what we have voted for in the town.
Yes, that's.
Oh, by the way,
yes.
Rita, you were right. I talked to, imagine that. Imagine that.
Gee, 30 years.
I tend to defer to experience.
I do too.
Somebody has more, 30 more years experience at this than I, so.
But you gotta
It's
remember, you're
recorded
dealing,
though, too.
you're dealing with,
It's recorded that you're right.
yeah, it's a good thing. Remember, you deal with a quality guy. When in doubt, you call it out, even if you know you might be wrong, just to check it, because you're always trying to reach an improved level of performance. So in either case, I pulled out the exemptions from the state with regard to what is required. And I did
Two or one, oh, they're together.
It's paid together.
Stapled, right?
Yeah. And I have another one that's on this. Here we go. You pass that one down. So you have to share.
You don't have to share.
Oh, okay.
He's sharing with all of us.
All of us, yeah. So I looked at towns, I pulled up Lunenburg. In the case of the 41Cs, we voted that in 1980, I'm sorry, we adopted it in 1983, and it got updated and accepted in 1986, and then it was, date of acceptance is 1986. Things have changed, right? And if you look at what Lunenburg is providing versus other towns, there's a significant difference in terms of what they've done. And it's probably not because of, it's just that there's nobody there to keep pushing it and improving it. And the other side of it is if you go to that following page with regard to the assessments and things like that, Lunenburg really hasn't done very much at all in terms of the other opportunities that are available, or for that matter, some of the calculations. So I really don't know enough to say anything definitive, but it sure looks like we are behind in terms of making it better. Then I went back.
If I can just, so some other communities have adopted other,
Yes, since then.
so in some cases it may, well, it all, part of it will come down to, can we afford to adopt more? And number two, should we be adopting more because we haven't been aggressive enough? So those are the two questions I think you're addressing right now.
That would be
Okay,
correct.
good, thank you.
Correct. And you always have to say how much we can afford, because when you do the presentation of the town, they're going to throw you out if you don't tell them what the implications are of that. And as you can see, there were. So I went, another time I called my buddy Becky, and she's a pleasure to deal with. She says, Jack, your town's adopted 41C and a half. I'm sorry, it's 41C.
Right.
She goes, you can go to 41C and a half with approval from the town. And she says, what a lot of people are doing now is they're also adding things like COLAs, automatic COLAs versus, so you don't have to come in right away. The reimbursement portion of it, it's going to be difficult, because the state really hasn't changed its reimbursement total amount that's able to give. So from the state. Yes, I'm sorry, I should have known the state. And so if we can go ahead and look at, with your permission, I'm going to go in and keep looking at 41C and a half, because there's more room. And the nice thing about 41C and a half,
More room meaning?
more room meaning that, first of all, there's no asset limit. See how well there's a pile of things here. Hold on. I just gotta think. There's no asset limit clause. So in other words, if your house is worth more than $50,000, you're not going to be knocked out of that. If you can only, it's got to be valid.
So,
At clause 41.5, gross receipts are limited. Your gross receipts can be higher.
are we talking about the website?
Yeah, it's in the website.
Well, everything's the website.
Yeah.
What
Right.
is this?
What the point is, okay, if you look at what we're publicizing right now, the numbers don't align to what the state is saying in terms of single, married, and things like that.
I'm sorry. So the numbers that we have on this are different than we have on this?
Yes.
Oh, that needs to be updated. That needs to be
That's
updated.
okay, we got some work.
Okay.
It's
No,
not the end of the world. It's just that we gotta, that's another thing to put on the list.
I think, and I think that's something that might have to go to town meeting if you update those.
No. I believe that we've adopted them because the state already has us down for these. But what is on this document does not necessarily match this document.
Yeah, but I think if you go up on I don't think you can go up on the income and,
No, yes, that's true, but what I think he's saying first is what we have on this document, the state is reporting for us,
the
which
700.
which should have already been approved by us,
Are you
doesn't-
talking the 750?
doesn't match this. And I don't know, you just said that it doesn't match it.
Because the state is 500, and by a town meeting vote, you can double it. The max is $1,000 off on the taxes.
So-
We're given 750, and how they came up with that number, I really don't know.
Well,
But that is what's on the sheet.
right now,
Yeah, so those, what doesn't match?
okay, first of all, go in and look at income. single person versus married person, and look at the Bloomberg income, and I think the numbers don't match. 31,500 versus 30,000,
So are
40,000.
you looking at line 162
I'm looking
on
at
this page?
line 162,
So
yes.
yeah, 41C if single, income of single is 20,000, income if married is
On the
30,000.
town. On
On the town page.
On the town
the
page.
town page says 31 something, the state has 20, I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah,
So it sounds like they're wrong.
It could be all over, I don't know, I'm just saying
Or
it's
maybe
not-
that's what it was
These
when it
come
was
directly
approved in
from the
86.
state, so that's what we go by.
So what the
So
state
those-
gave us a report has different numbers than the state gave us that. So
Okay.
we need to,
Let me go.
just a minute, but
That's an
no,
interesting
that's, just, I think, let's try to keep them bite-sized. So we need to go back and figure out if the data that we have here is correct, I think it is.
I believe that is
And the
correct.
data that is on this report from the state
Right, just.
is
That's
wrong.
probably old data.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna,
we need to just call back and say, why is this wrong, I think.
what is
She
this
doesn't
report
do
from?
that.
Is it an online database?
It's online,
It's
it
from-
went right to.
So it might,
Is it DOR or somebody else?
Yeah, it's DOR.
so
It's
it
the
might in
DLS.
the database say when it, like, before you access the database, it might say when it was last updated.
I don't, I
Because
thought it was. the
we
next
get,
part,
we
that's all.
get these printouts right from the DOR. from the
Yeah,
state.
I think these are probably what we've approved at town meeting,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Have we gone
But
through
a
the
different-
exercise of approving at town meeting?
We do that, I don't know how often.
Well,
But you're right, we have to go to town meeting to
Yeah.
get any
Yeah.
changes.
the last date on here was 2018 for Lennox, but
Correct.
they might just not bother with entering, somebody hasn't entered the 41C. Like, if you look at Leverett and Lexington and Lincoln on here, they all have the same number, so it looks like they've been lackadaisical on updating that.
Or they just
Because they know
stay
that's.
So we
they didn't change it.
If it's not Becky, Becky would know who was, had us talk to.
So my interest is obviously seeing if this aligns, and see what
But
is
this
really
comes
going
right
on.
from the state.
But also to
Yeah.
start going to the 41.
You're still
Well,
investigating the
these
41C.
numbers right here.
What we might want to try.
Qualifying numbers come right from the state.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing that investigation because it's obviously time consuming. It's a rat
But
hole.
I don't
So,
know how
Hey,
the
it's
town.
shoveling the walk, it's just
This
snowball.
number,
no, that's true.
Because it's either, the
Okay.
state says 500,
Uh,
the town you vote.
as far as
2,000.
This was a good subject.
Yeah.
It really wasn't part of the website discussion
Well,
because
it's
everything's part of the
It's
website
part of the
discussion.
exemption, if you say.
Everything's part of it, well, we haven't gotten there yet, right?
Oh, yeah? I thought we had, and this one.
No, that was the exemptions. Under new business, discuss implications of proposing exemption increases for 2025.
Right,
That's fiscal 2025.
that's where it was.
That's, so we've jumped ahead to that because of this. And there may be some other things we want to talk about there. I'm trying to keep it
Okay, no, you're doing a good
simple.
job.
Because yeah. So as far as the website though,
Yes.
great job, feels like you've made a lot of progress. Is there anything else that's website related? that-
Yes, if you can take a look at it, scribble any comments down you might see, and just take a picture and send it to me. And so I can upgrade those, and I can continue to build that, and do the rest of my investigation of what will that site support in terms of changes.
And the focus will be to get something ready before March 31st.
As much as we can.
So that when we ask people to go out to the website, there will be people go out to the website.
Right, and if we get the whole template, we can put the whole template up, and all I'm gonna do is put it under construction. And
That's
the
fine.
other- And the other pieces.
Absolutely.
They're not ready to go.
Because we aren't gonna get it all at once.
That's true.
So, good, thank you. Thank you very much. Good update. A little out of order, but good update.
I'll take anything, right now I'll take anything.
Ah,
Just a note break.
we were right done with the vision card thing? Or do you want to talk, oh no,
I had a
actually,
couple
you
things
just,
to say, yeah.
so let's,
I'll keep it as brief as I can. I have sent this copy to you digitally. It has been updated as much as possible before we get the numbers.
The new numbers,
real big,
correct.
yep.
Yeah, so, like, for example, you see some stuff that's like in gray on this, on the digital copy, it's highlighted in yellow, those are things we can just go back and fill in and modify. If you turn to the landline valuation, I do have a question under landline valuation building lots, which is area 5, just flip through. There's a chart that's XXX, XXX, XXX.
Oh,
I was building this for, so far for single family residential. But we do have a lot of residents who are in condominiums. So I'm wondering if we want to say, here's the lot list for, well, actually for condominiums it doesn't matter because it's backed in, forget I said that. Do we want that for commercial at all? I don't think we do.
Yeah, I think it's.
if we had a larger commercial
Yeah,
population, I would say maybe.
yeah,
But at this point, let's focus in on
So just
the
keep it,
biggest bang for the
let's
buck.
keep it to residential.
yeah.
And by the way, most of those commercial people should already kind of understand that.
Yeah, so let's not bother.
Should.
Where I was going with that though is because I was looking at what I brought up earlier, there's like 5 different sets of codes for the land curve. So I was going with the residential one, but I was wondering what those other ones were, so I'll send an email about that. And then on the next page,
Blanco.
this is where I'm wondering about what our neighborhoods actually are. Because we don't, if our neighborhoods are already built in with these site values, then we don't need this section on neighborhoods. We just have our site index, which I started to type in, but these are numbers from last year, and those are modified already. It's not a real chart yet, the site index with land value multiplier, that's going to change. But I did try to get the site index of what we're using for residences in there, just so I had an idea. I'm expecting that to change. I'm expecting this calculation for excess land to change.
Well, the value for excess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and, well, I was thinking we have to probably talk about zoning, because isn't residence say like 40,000 square feet?
I believe the zoning in this town is 80,000 square feet for the,
I think,
it's 80,000 and 40,000. I have it in my,
yeah.
Correct.
and I think maybe the center of town is the 40,000, but I'm.
Well, I live in Ransby, which is outside of the center of town, and I know that's 80,000.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if we have any difference in how we apportion land there. Like,
That's a reasonable question.
Well, if in that area the primary site is 40,000, it would be the 40,000, and then anything beyond 40,000, like if it was 42,000, then 2,000 would be excess land, and currently that's at $7,500 an acre. So that's how that would be.
Even if it's developed,
If it's over and above the amount
right, 40,000.
that is required from zoning, then it becomes excess land,
Yeah.
even if it's already developed.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, you can have pools on, you can have sheds, it doesn't matter.
Right. Just the street that I live on, one side of the street, the west side of the street is 40,000, the east side of the street is 80,000.
yes, yes.
Okay. I
Interesting.
understand, but, okay.
Well, it's how they
No,
They
I
draw
know, it's
like
just,
the center of town, or,
it's,
you know,
it's just a little odd.
yeah.
Now, do we have a spot where we show on our card where if you're in residence A or B? I don't think we do.
I don't remember seeing one either. Do you?
I don't recall.
The zone, there should be something referring to the zoning for your.
Yeah, but I don't think it's.
I don't think it's-
exhibit
Yeah, I don't think it's on the card, but I think it'd become obvious if you hit 40,000 and then you're,
Well, but maybe that's something that could be added to a card.
It seemed like, yeah.
so that was a question I had, because it would be 2 different sets of sample calculations we
Right.
should show.
Right.
So that's something to resolve. Then I turn to area 6. I put in codes based on what I had seen. I would love it if you wanted to look and see if I captured all the codes that we're using. I feel like I left some out somehow.
There was some double codes in there.
Camp.
Yeah.
Camp. Yeah, so,
You know, remember
So-
camp?
what I would like you guys to do is look through and see if we're missing anything. And then there was this whole thing about grade, about construction quality. I don't know if we actually break that out. I mean, I know we have excellent, outstanding, based on
Oh.
how it was built.
There's average,
Yeah,
average plus 10, average. It starts off, I think, either fair or poor, and goes to average, average plus 10, average plus 25, jumps to good.
so
The
I
one
don't,
thing they don't have in there is very good.
yeah.
And it jumps up to,
So I think I was getting that conflated with cost and market valuation, you know, like if your land is, your building is maintained in superior condition versus poor, you know, and the separation between. I was looking to see if we had any kind of code that we put in on the card.
for the building, yeah, it's either average, good, very good. And one of the things I was gonna ask Mike Terrell from Vision about, there's no code for very good, it jumps right from average plus 25 to,
Average is plus 20.
there's only a good, and then it jumps up to, I think it's an excellent or something.
Oh, so we have average, good, and excellent. And
Age is factored in there somehow, right?
That's on your depreciation schedule.
yeah,
Typically, a house bottoms out after, I think it's 70 years.
Oh,
So if you had a house that was born in, built in
More.
1700, that first 70 years, you're gonna stay at that 70-year depreciation forever and ever. That bottoms out at that. It's like a car on the excise tax, bottoms out at 10% of the original sticker price.
so that part we need to add in.
Okay.
And then I was looking at the
So,
building
just-
area, some summary.
Just a
Yeah.
question, bathroom?
What?
Are these bathrooms in here, or is it
These are codes for buildings.
the building? So, and I know we talked about quality in there.
I don't
Oh,
know.
bathroom count?
I don't
Is
know
that
how
true?
deep you want to
Yeah.
get into.
Yeah, I don't know if you
Okay.
want this or not. I kept, this is a chart from another town,
Oh, okay.
and I wasn't sure if we do that or not.
We have in our system built an average square foot house. We put something, every town is different. I think maybe Lunenburg might be like 20, the average might be 2,200 square feet. And then everything above and below that changes your valuation. Usually a smaller house has a higher dollar per square foot to build it. A big house is less per square foot to build it. So that's all built into the tables.
Yeah, so like this part is what I'm hearing,
Okay.
is an X. And then we just have the size.
Yeah, that's more,
Yeah.
that is more in the, your data collection manual, because I think too much might just mess people up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
okay.
your bathroom quality, your kitchen quality, because everybody's gonna say, well, my kitchen hasn't been updated in 30 years, I have the original report. So there's always one around that's got it.
Yeah, so I that's why I'm doing this, because I was like, I don't know if I should be making that decision. And then this is,
So if I'm reading this right, Sarah, finished basement is 35%, only counts as 35%.
Well, wait,
so
we're
this,
Xing
we're
all that
Xing
out.
that part out.
We're taking it
This
off.
is a sample that
okay.
another town had, that I was like, do we want this or not?
I don't think we do.
We don't.
No,
They just put a giant X.
No, I'm saying, how do you calculate the overall, I know I have a value sitting there on my porch, and I have a value sitting in my finished basement, and I have a value,
But
You know
for the general public,
Yeah,
You don't want to get too deep in there, because it's gonna get too confusing.
So the only thing I'm
Well-
gonna keep in there is the size adjustment factor.
Okay.
I don't think that's that confusing, honestly. If you're reading your property card, and you're trying to figure out how to come up with a number, what does it hurt to say, that's the number, that's the number we use?
When we do the data collection, we are collecting this information. Is that what you said?
If you're doing data collection, well, you put down if a basement is finished.
Okay.
Nobody goes out and measures unless you have a plan, somebody finished off the basement, and there's 900 square feet finished.
Right.
You know, it's either a basement finished or unfinished,
Yeah,
Right.
as far as we're concerned. If it's measured out, we put it in there,
right. It's on the drawing.
but
It's
But
on the drawing.
we're just charging per square foot.
a basement is so much per square foot, and a finished basement is a little bit more.
So,
And those are percentages.
yeah, what do these percentages mean?
So this is what another town does to come up with the total value of living space.
So,
So they're saying basically a first floor is 100% living
Right.
space.
got it.
A garage is 40% living space. And that goes to calculating the
Well,
total
it's not-
square foot.
An unfinished basement is 20% living space?
No, it wouldn't be living space, it would be.
No, I know, I'm trying to think what the
20%
20% of what?
Storage space.
It's 20% of what?
Yeah, like, your base is your first floor, so the percentage of that is, it's all finished.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying to figure out what's an unfinished basement 20% mean in this case?
So according to what they wrote here, instead of just saying you either have living space or you don't, like a deck counts towards some of the square feet, but it doesn't count at 100% in terms of square feet of your house.
When we draw a sketch in, you know, you have your base, your first floor, second floor, basement, first floor, second floor. If you have a deck on that, that's drawn into the sketch, and then it's by square footage. So then in our tables, a wooden deck might be $25 a square foot, $15 a square foot, something like
So in this case, they were using percentages, but
They're
we actually
using
have assigned
percentages.
values.
Yes.
Okay. Should we have that?
that. I don't think so.
So,
So what would cause you to say we shouldn't put it in there? Because people are gonna be confused, well, they know what they have for a piece of property.
Well, I think the percentages, because we do it by dollar per square foot.
Sure,
so-
so rather than putting in the percentages, should we put dollar per square foot? Or something akin to that? I'm just asking a dumb question because I don't really know an answer. I'm just
Yeah.
looking, you have a great deal of expertise, as we said before, and I'm looking for a little bit of that.
I would just leave that out altogether, because you get too technical for the
The other thing to
auditors.
think about is, and that's a reasonable approach, to not put it in the first, when we first publish it, and then we can look at it in the future and say, maybe we should be adding it, because I think these things being on here with $1 per square foot makes it very easy for somebody to understand what you're
Why
charging.
my house is
Yeah.
this.
My house has this.
Well, you could do it.
And I put up decks every
you could-
3 weeks, so.
You could do like, you know, you could do, instead of, you know, finished attic, you could do like a deck, so much per square foot.
Yeah,
I would leave
my
out
point was,
the
we-
first floor because it's gonna, in the second floor because it's gonna depend on the size of the building. But things like an above-ground pool, an in-ground pool, you know, yard items.
Yeah.
Our garage is like $35 a square foot, whatever it is, $25 a square foot. You know, you could put those things in, so people say, you know, they can look at it and say, oh yeah, the deck on my house
I
is,
forgot
you
about
know, it's,
those, yeah.
yeah, it's a 10 by 12 and it's at, you know, $15 a square foot.
120 square feet, it's okay, not do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what we do for
Well,
right now.
my
but-
suggestion was to not put it on there for now, because we really don't know what we want to put there.
Yeah.
But, so for the
Consider for the
first
future.
iteration
Yeah.
of this, say, we'll leave it off, but let's make sure it's on our list for the future. I have, go ahead. Did you have a question?
Yeah,
Right.
this is back to where our core values and our code of ethics come in. In our core values, we embrace transparency, integrity, honesty, and stewardship of resources. We respect worth and dignity of all individuals. We are dedicated to excellence in the assessment and administration of property taxes. We are accountable good, and we encourage the appropriate use of technology and tools for the fair. Are we being transparent by not including it?
If we're not prepared to include it,
Well,
because
that's
we can't
okay,
define
we're
it.
under construction, but not to say we're not
well,
going to.
I can say, well, that's exactly what I said, I think. Well, we'll put it in the first iteration, we will put it in the future iteration, we could call it under construction, but then if you got too many pages within, under construction on your vision, how to read your card, then people are gonna look at it, well, I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah,
And
if you wanna do
I
something.
wanna keep it on the list because, I'm sorry, let me finish. I really wanna keep it on the list because I think it has a good deal of value, and I think homeowners will understand what the hell it is. But we may not be prepared to do it today. We
Unless you
are
wanna-
prepared to do it in the future, sorry.
Unless you wanna cut this down to something smaller like yard items, outbuildings, wood decks, in the price per square foot.
Sure.
Instead of
We
percentages,
can do that
instead of
now.
going first floor, second floor, because as the building gets bigger or smaller, that dollar per square foot is gonna change.
Yeah.
Right,
So
So-
you don't want base rate,
right,
you know,
right.
Yeah, I would really need you to
a carport, you know, things like that.
say what should
Yep,
go on
so-
there,
so-
what's valued at.
What I think you said is we could actually include it during the first iteration with a much more limited list of stuff. And that, I think, helps get this as transparent as possible, and give us a chance of actually ever finishing.
Yeah, because things
That's
like, you
true.
know, people don't realize, they look at their property record card, they look at the building value, their land value, and they don't look at their yard items. You know, so if they've got patio and you know, a deck on the house, and, you know, those you might want to list like this, so they'll know, well, a deck cost me so much. If I want, I've had many people call up, I want to put a shed on, how much more is that gonna be on my taxes?
Yeah.
Well, a shed is so much per square foot, if you build an 8 by 10, you know, it's gonna cost you another $15 a year, whatever, you know.
Right.
Because people just, they can see on their property record card, they can see their square footage, and they can see the dollar per square foot associated with their square footage.
Yeah.
But the things they don't think of are like outbuildings and yard items and stuff.
Yeah, you just brought up something I never really thought about, is that, okay, that's the first floor, and you're saying as you add in each floor, you use less materials and your price comes down. What do we do about people who have 2 stories and 3 stories, and that's where we're only thinking it, it's 100% for the first floor, 100% for the second floor? Because it's sold as
Well, the
opposed to
second
total
floor
square
depends
foot.
on your roof line.
How much square footage you have.
Right,
Yeah.
so it depends on your roof line. If you have a half story, you know, if you have dormers, you know. it
How does that fit in that scale here, though? I just have some.
Well, the percentage scale, we're not gonna use, because that doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense for us.
So.
It makes sense for somebody else.
Times the square foot, first floor, then multiply times square foot, second floor,
Well, right on your property record card,
yeah.
on your sketch, it tells you right across there, your base is, so the rate is, you know, $160 a square foot. Your second floor, finished upper story,
Okay, that
might
shows
not
it.
be as much big a square footage. If, you know, if it's a colonial, it's gonna be the same square footage on the first and second floor.
Yeah,
But if they have, you know, a contemporary, or, you know, a raised ranch or something like that, it's gonna say right on your description here, how much square footage is and what the dollar per square foot associated
Okay.
with that is.
So,
I don't have a second
So
floor.
it's already on the
Yeah,
cards.
well, you have a
It's already on the
basement.
cards.
finish it.
Yeah, I do, I have to sit there.
So-
That already.
So we will try to approach a smaller subset of this with the dollar as opposed to the percentage.
Right.
Yeah.
So that,
I think
I
the
think
dollar
that
per
we
square
have
foot
that.
it's easier for people to understand than
Yeah,
the
so
percentage.
if we have it, that's great, that's perfect, as long as we have that. We're not trying to not share stuff.
So I'm gonna open up a can of worms. The buildings gives us a whole bunch of subsets of, here's the things that add to the value of your house or maybe detract. I don't know if there are any that detract. Could we do something similar in the future about the land?
You're getting into
I
that.
told you I was gonna open a can of worms.
Yeah.
You have a lot, you can either build on it or you
I
can't
got
build
that.
on it. You know,
We also factor some things in.
if some of it is wet, you know, usually what we used to do is come back, have it, you know, have your wetlands flagged by conservation, and take that percentage, that's wetlands.
Right.
You know, there's not a lot you can do with land.
There were a few things though, but we've already talked about some of them for some situations. But I was just wondering, and it would be probably a very small subset, not this kind of list, it might be 5 things. But at some point, we might want to think about doing that, and we don't have to do it for this, at this time.
Yeah, do it at
We do unusable land now?
I'm sorry?
We do unusable land?
Well, you have basically you have your primary site,
Yeah.
and if you have a 5-acre parcel, that excess land, it's usable, but it's at a lower value.
But if you have wetlands, you reduce it by
And
the
if
wetlands.
you can
or some
prove
portion of
that, you know,
wetlands.
you've got a river running through it, and it's been flagged by conservation, yeah, you can do a delineation for wetlands,
Yeah.
a percentage.
And so
And
you
if
all,
we have enough, we can put it into chapter.
Well,
Well, yeah, except that I think chapter 61B has been used too loosely in this town. There's so many of them. And I know when I was on the board, that's the one thing Rich and I,
that's part,
no, that's just open and natural state.
yes, sorry.
I mean, I had
Farm
a
is
man
what?
just called me up recently and said, we want to buy this house and it's in 61B, which is recreational land. He said, so we would like to put a small, we'd like to have some campsites. So if any of our friends want to come over and go camping on the land, can we do that? No. You can't mow it, you can't cut it, it has to be left in an open and natural state.
and if you can't get to it, I have a situation where I've got not me personally, the people have a small sliver of land, and then they've got this really super steep hill. And then the top of that hill is all rock, and they can't get a car up there. That whole back section is landlocked, and
Landlocked parcel is coded the same honestly as unbuildable.
unbuildable land.
Because they
But
can't-
it's all part of that one parcel where he does have a piece of it. Can he take, or she take, a portion of that and treat it as unbuildable, unusable? And
No.
then
No, because you have your parcel, and especially if, you know, around some of these smaller parcels,
yeah.
if you only have 16,000 square feet, some of it, it's what your house is sitting on, that's what you're valued at. I don't care what's out behind it or whatever.
If they have an acre though, they have a half, and they're actually only able to occupy a quarter of that, and the other 3/4 are.
But it's still treated as just excess land.
Just an excess.
At a
You can
lower
come back and
value.
petition that as excess land in
Right.
that whole. Okay, so unused, it wouldn't fit the unusable category, it just becomes excess if it's part of the primary lot.
Right.
Got it.
At a lower value.
All right.
All right, so moving on.
So thank you,
Thank you,
Sarah, this is
The rest
highly
of,
enlightening.
the rest of the things on here, I have codes for,
The description
Yeah.
superior.
yeah, I
Excellent.
put like a pile of them on there. I don't think we have that many.
We don't have superior, we don't do superior. I think excellent was one I was gonna ask Mike if, excellent and very good if they could be added to our tables instead of that average plus 25, average plus 10.
Okay.
You know, either average, good, very good.
I would like that.
fear and poor,
It seems like they jump. It's like,
Yeah,
good, or
that
you don't
could be
wanna-
left over, those codes could be left over from way back when,
Yeah.
when RIG was doing them. Those might have been the codes they
Yeah.
used. So, in fact, on my little list of things, that's one of the things I wanted to ask Mike about, adding very good in there and,
Yeah, excellent, and superior.
And then, the last thing we had was condos, and that's why I brought up the number 1, 2, 3, 4.
yeah,
That number's wrong, right?
These aren't, none of these numbers should be used.
Okay,
So, just to be clear, pretty much everything in here is sample data only.
Yes,
right.
So let's start there.
yes.
So don't look at the data, just look at the format and content.
Okay.
Is a number okay there?
see, I don't know what the 1, the 3, the 4, the 5, and then the different factors, unless it's the different styles, like a freestanding house as opposed to a townhouse, because over at Emerald Place on Arrive, they've got the big buildings with apartments in them. They've got freestanding condos. They've got townhouses,
Right.
It's a,
So is that something
They've
you
got
asked?
single family homes, duplexes, they've got townhouses, they've
Yeah,
got
I know,
apartment
I know,
buildings, they've got a little bit of everything.
I don't know what to do with it.
I drove around those streets, did you do that yet? It's actually kind of fun.
It is interesting. I was thinking maybe Mike Terrell could help us get this ironed out.
Under control?
Because I think people who are in these different condos are all condos the same. What is my assessment? Why, my condo is very different from this condo, and why don't I have this?
And then the question about neighborhood and even within the complex itself, there's some that are right on the road, a busy road, and then the back condos are different, would that affect value? Or somewhere
well,
right
that
away?
that would reflect in if they were sold, but since those are.
And Arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Arrive are all rented and not sales, they're being treated as
Yeah.
apartments or rental units.
But I figure we could, once we have that report that Mike has run, Turlo, that we could incorporate that when it's ready.
In fact, tomorrow I'm gonna finish up how many apartment complexes we have.
Yeah.
For Mike, he wants to know what the apartment complexes are.
So what I was thinking with this is that, everybody could write their comments and just send them to me like you were requesting. But if it's okay with the board,
Requesting for this.
and with you, Rena, if I could just work with you on getting the right numbers in here, so it doesn't have to take up more meeting time in the future.
Yeah,
Just say, here's the
absolutely.
numbers we got, and put them in, and here's the,
I love the format, thank you very much, this is quite readable. If anybody goes out to the website, once that's all built and finds one of these, we go, oh, okay.
oh, this is what's going on.
That's what I
That's
have to
going
do.
in here,
Yeah.
sir, that's going in.
That's what I have to do, okay. Or here's how mine was arrived at, okay.
Yeah.
All that stuff is actually quite valuable for all the populace.
Yeah,
Thank you. Wow.
so I think we're gonna get all of our things figured out March 1st, right? So then, this'll be
You
a
can plug in.
fun run to do by the 3rd or something of March. I'm gonna like,
Well, we'll have preliminary values that go to the state for preliminary certification. And then after you run those for, say, a week, and if you get people calling up and complaining and saying, I saw my preliminary valuation, you've got me down for like a finished attic and a finished basement, I don't have it, we make the changes in vision, then as long as there's not more than 10% changes, those go off to the state for final certification. And that's a period, probably about, usually it's turnaround less than 2 weeks.
So what is that? When do we expect that?
So we'll,
I'd have to look, Mike, on Mike's schedule, he's got, the other thing in my report was, I was gonna let you guys know, there's 3 people out right now from Vision.
right, they increased it, they only had 2 before.
They had 2, and I don't know if Terry started today. She was supposed to come in the office, but maybe because of the snow, she might be coming in a couple of days.
How do you let snow get in the way?
So there is a 3rd person coming out, and some of the field people have picked up houses that have to be remeasured. The measurements are wrong. So far, Mike said there's about 20 of those.
Something like that.
So we'll have to have somebody go out, because Vision's not gonna remeasure houses.
Okay.
They're doing a field review.
Okay.
And when we were talking, Brian and I were talking Nate today, we said maybe Nate could have somebody do that, and he said definitely. He said he could even do it himself.
Actually, he said he was probably gonna do it himself
Yeah, he
because
said-
he has everybody else assigned his stuff.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
great.
well,
Well, sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if it
Okay.
gets back to the
How many have they, you found 20 that have to get remeasured, how many have we done?
Done what?
Look, gone and visited the site.
Well, what he's doing, they have all the field cards. They have
Yeah.
the field cards of every house in town. And I think the way they're determining is, they're looking at the field card and maybe there's an addition on it that, never got picked up or something.
Sure.
So that's how,
Okay, so
He's
how many,
saying-
I'm just trying to come up with a percentage of accuracy with regard to.
we haven't got a
field.
percentage yet.
But we don't, how many?
We don't know how many they've done
Well, if
yet.
we've done 100 and you found 20 wrong, there's enough of a
Yeah.
data. You go past 33 and you've got a valid sample size, right? So if all of a sudden I've done 100 and there's 20 of them, that tells me that our process cards have a 20%
Oh,
variability.
well, they've been driving, because
Yeah.
Rob has been out.
Is this Bob Collins?
We
Yeah.
should,
You tell that
Rob,
stinker. You
He hasn't been in the office.
we should probably get an idea of how many they've looked at so far. So that gives us a context for the 20. Because we don't have context for the 20.
Right.
So 20 could be
And
1% because they've done 2,000 of them.
And he could, he had told his people out there, as soon as you get a good sized batch, bring them back in, because they're gonna start doing all the importing
Yep.
into the system, so.
And so we would like to have the data that says how many corrections do we have to make? Because the state has pretty clear guidelines in terms of the activities that we have to take as related to the percentage of with regard to being accurate on our property cards. Right, so we need to be monitoring that and seeing if.
Well, we
Right.
will, because those cards are gonna come back to us.
Right.
Yeah, right, so,
Those 20 cards are gonna come back to us, and if they find more in the meantime, they'll come back to us as well,
right,
because they're not gonna get out of the car and remeasure.
We're
That's
doing
not part of their job.
Right now, that's right. We're doing a full rebuild, so we're looking at all of them. All of them.
They're driving down every
every
street
street
in town.
for the entire town, I thought it was
Yeah.
only half of it.
Nope.
No, the entire.
This is this is called a full rebuild
This
for a
is
reason.
a full
Yeah,
full reason.
evaluation, the entire town.
Yep.
Okay. I thought they were being happy with 50%.
No.
No. The state
No.
wouldn't be happy.
No, nobody would be happy with that, wouldn't be happy with that.
the car
Yeah,
meeting
deal
I
with that.
had last
Give me
week was
50% down, they would have
Site.
been initiating a full
The
review.
site indexes.
Yeah, in the neighborhood. I don't know what to put.
So you guys maybe set.
Yeah,
I don't know, could-
set up
you
some
could do
time.
an evening, maybe?
Yeah, I can, I'll come in.
Which might mean half a day out of the office, but, or not.
Yeah.
It depends, how many hours you can put in.
But I think, when
Back
they're,
to 23rd.
when they're close, I don't know what that date is gonna be,
Yeah.
but we should schedule some time around then, because then we can just get this whole thing in and
Plug all those numbers right in.
Nice.
knock it out. Yeah. So I don't have any more on this until we actually have some preliminary
Thank
data
you.
back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're in really good shape here, I think. The reason I kept this one on here, this is the use of responses to extensive citizen questions as facts. We have all those questions that are sitting there, we really haven't done anything with them. don't know what the best approach is. We had talked about maybe having some ad hoc committee, assigning an ad hoc committee to sort of summarize those questions, because there are many cases that are overlapping.
Yeah.
Summarize those questions and then figure out how to go about answering them, so that we can then add them as facts, because you would have facts, frequently asked questions on the website, right?
How organizations deal with that is they have some sort of an encoded tracking system or a car system, depending on what.
Yeah.
And
But-
it
We
takes
have
nothing
versions, right?
to start recording it and.
But I don't want to have a list of facts that's 4,000 questions long, because everybody asks the same question slightly differently.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
what I really like to do is have somebody help us by consolidating some of those questions, so that similar questions are asked once, answered once, and then we can put them out there as, and I think we should have a list of frequently asked questions out there on our websites. So, and, you know, if that list becomes 50 questions, okay, great. And I don't mean for us to pick it up. I'm thinking we get an ad hoc committee to start doing that. So we could figure out how to get those questions answered, how to get them out there on our website. It doesn't have to happen all today. Some of those questions have been outstanding for a month, 2 months. And some of them need answering sooner rather than later. But I realize,
And I believe that some of them still go back to the 23 evaluations, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
But they, in many cases, are more process related to how did you get here, as opposed to what the number would want to be. So not all of them, obviously. There's going to be some that are just 23 specific, and at this point, sorry, couldn't do everything. I'm just checking up there right now.
I haven't seen anybody on, actually.
Okay, so I don't know how we go about establishing an ad hoc committee and charging them. If everybody has an idea, I'm happy to entertain that. Or we can skip it till next time.
I don't, but there are some ad hoc committees around town. The planning board, I know, has one, so we could ask somebody how they established an ad hoc committee. But I don't know when the last time an ad hoc committee was established.
So
Because all the ones I know of are,
I'll take up the responsibility to check with the planning board, because you said planning board had one.
yeah, they had an open space committee. I don't know, was stormwater an ad hoc committee?
No.
I know,
It
no.
was-
They're still alive. They haven't been for 6 months.
And green.
And I hear that they
yeah.
just had their first meeting in a while.
Actually, I think open space might be one of the only ad hoc committees.
Okay.
I know stormwater management, when I was on conservation, I was assigned to be on
Yeah.
that
That's
committee.
what it is too.
Yeah,
And we were voting members on that. We voted on
Yeah.
things that came before
but
us.
open space is an ad hoc committee where people vote, and there are members of conservation, stormwater and everything, but that committee then reports back to the planning board.
So they vote, but it's not binding.
It's not
It's
binding.
a recommendation
It's a
back
recommendation only.
to the deciding board.
As one of the members used to say, we have no power.
You can
We just
influence.
make recommendations.
You can influence.
Yes.
And
And you can make, but it was,
Yeah.
you know, we discuss things, we make a recommendation, but it ends up with the planning board.
Who are the most powerful people in government? Is it lobbyists? I don't know.
Talk to Lou.
They don't get the
Oh,
vote.
really?
They don't get the vote.
Let's talk philosophy later.
Let's, okay, I'll put that on the agenda, philosophy.
Future topic, philosophy.
Core
But
values.
I think that would be a
We
great
do
use
that.
of an ad hoc
We do that.
committee.
We do that.
And I think that's something that a committee could do without venturing into the
Right,
executive session materials.
right. Well, the other thing,
It's
you
complicated.
just mentioned something else about core values, and we could have an ad hoc committee help us do that, develop those core values,
Yeah, if you want to spend the time.
if they want to spend the time.
If it doesn't work
Because
out.
it doesn't mean that we all sit on all those committees, it means they report back to us, so we can get a picture of the people. So what I think I heard were there are potentially 2 ad hoc committees right now we're thinking about.
Yeah.
One would be for
Questions?
facts.
The
I'll call it
website.
facts. And the other one is
Core value.
core value.
As long as we're not, okay, everybody thinks, oh, let's outsource this and give it to somebody.
No, no,
No,
It's
no.
never a free lunch.
No.
It's never a free
no,
lunch.
we don't expect that. We expect them to come back, and report back to
No,
us
I'm
what they've
all
come up
for-
with, what they've
we're still
recommended.
responsible.
And then we can decide what we want to adopt.
It's gonna take energy to put them together, it's gonna take energy to bring
It
them up to
is.
speed.
It
And
is.
And right now, we have enough working benchmarks to say, do I really need another committee to do this, or can we set them both to do that?
I know that core values are near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely.
So, do you want to work on that?
I am working on it.
No, do you want to do all the work on that?
I certainly would
Because
appreciate
I
the fact
think if we
that
had some help, you could
I
get
can
through
go
it
get
much more
some help.
quickly.
I can go, I tell you what, I'll go put together an ad hoc committee.
Well, we need to figure out how we're gonna charge them,
And
and
at the time we're gonna debate that, know that I can have it done 4 times.
if you don't wanna bother with it, we'll take it off the list, go for it.
Not that,
It's off the
bring
list.
it to you guys, if you guys say, we're not comfortable with this, take it out, take it out. But don't slow us down right now. I'm already freaking out about all the stuff we gotta get done.
I just checked off on my agenda, establish ad hoc committees. We're done with that, right? I just checked.
We are. So,
And
next,
maybe the committee's members of the town management.
we're not establishing an ad hoc committee, you're gonna do it, so.
I'm gonna do it. Okay.
Well, that's off the list.
Only reason why I'm
We don't
saying that
talk
is,
about
are we gonna have one? Are we building one? Most other towns have it. We're not quite there yet. Is there something going on in the background?
Nobody told you to stop.
I know that.
Okay.
Is there anything going on in the background we're trying to want to link up with? I'll ask the question.
You'll give us an update and status on that? That's
Yes.
great, thank you.
Yeah,
And I'll add it to our next open meeting
yeah.
as
The
an agenda
29th.
item.
Okay.
The new business. Discuss Board of Assessors position on FY *25 budget, staffing, education, and other. I proposed a note
That's not bad.
Yeah, so that's good.
to go to, if I can find it,
Thanks for putting that together.
suggested anyway, for a note to go off to the town manager. I do think we need to add something in there about monies for conferences and stuff. Not just education, but conferences, because the Assessors World has conferences,
Is that the one in Vegas?
no.
And another thing is that when you hire somebody in this position, if they have their designation, every so many years, they have to get
Continues.
45, continuing 45 hours of credit. So it's attending conferences.
Well, I put the budget for continuing ed, it should be called something else?
No.
Association,
Oh, it's certification.
certification, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, in conservation, you're a member of the MAC group, and there's classes going on all the time and the town pays for it.
I'll add some wording up to the effect of CEUs and conferences.
Yeah.
And then if you want, I can send it to the entire committee, or we can just vote on it as written so far with those 2 changes.
I'm sure you can amend it.
I'm okay with whatever you want to do, just ask her to put.
So the reason I put it on the agenda was so we could vote on this as a board.
Yes.
So it was coming from the board, it's not coming from the chair.
Well, it is all stuff I think we agree on, so I make a motion to
Okay.
accept the recommendations,
I second that
accept the
motion.
recommendations to our town.
Perfect.
Yeah, I second the motion.
Any further discussion on that? Nothing? Anything else I missed? Conferences and CEUs, I think, are both.
She's gonna ask us what our cost is, we don't know that.
Well-
Tell us whether or not you're willing to.
I don't know how many conferences, what should we be talking about?
We had, in my budget in Groton, we had an expense line for that. And I don't even remember, it was a couple of $1,000. you couldn't go to everything, so you had to pick and choose what was most important, you know, what you were gonna get your credits on. School at UMass, and they're not doing UMass anymore, they're doing it someplace else. That was 5 days of, so much for credits every day.
Sure.
So you could pick up, you know, like 20 credits in a week or something like that. Told you 45 credits. So I think you just put a number in. I don't know what's in the amount, if anything. Put a number in, and then somebody has to, thank you,
Will.
somebody has to decide, you know, what they're gonna, what would be
Okay.
most important to them to attend.
I think it should be budgeted already. There should be something in there, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't do that.
So
I have not seen
we,
the
you and I together, at some point, we'll probably do the research and find out how much it is. I'll plug a number in for that.
Yeah, I think that's
And it may be, you know, 10% more than what's in the budget today, I don't know, because I don't know what the budget is today.
Yeah, don't you? And we could call around to some of the local communities, you know, what do you use?
Do you know anybody in the assessor world?
Maybe a couple of people. I wouldn't call
Does she know?
Travis August because he had quite an expensive, being president of the association, he had quite an expensive budget.
Oh, I'll bet. I'll bet. Thank you, appreciate that. So we will move forward on that.
You know, tell
I'll try to get that up this week because I don't know where Heather is on the budget development, but
Yeah.
the sooner we get on our radar, the better.
and I'll just pick some towns that are close to us in parcel count, you know, population, and just, you know, call around and say, you know, what do you have for conferences and education budget?
Fabulous, thank you. Discuss, well, we sort of started on this, discuss the implications of proposing exemption increases for FY '25. Have we,
Oh, it's a process.
so, do we want to hold that discussion until the next time, or?
We just did, didn't we?
Well, we talked about it a little bit, but I'm not sure we talked about, no, maybe we did.
We
Enough?
haven't really gotten into it, except the fact that looking that we had, the data I gave you is what I have so far.
Okay,
And there's,
we'll keep it on the agenda as current business then.
okay.
We talked about establishing ad hoc committees, so I think we're going to take that off the new business world. Although we did talk about, someone had suggested some rules or charters for those ad hoc committees. We've gotten some input on that, and did anybody have any feedback on that input, or should we not?
We need to at least give a vision of what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and also tell them what the ground rules are.
yeah, yeah, strategy for doing it.
I'll check with the boards that are doing it already.
The only one that we know is the
There's
planning board.
plenty, yeah.
Oh, so you're going to check?
The planning board has a vision.
Oh, I was going to check, okay, okay. I just thought something.
Well, then he uses, the planning board uses vision, mission, strategy approach.
No, they have an ad hoc committee.
Oh.
We'd like to know how they went about establishing it and what kind of ground rules they put for them.
Yeah.
Because they may or may not have any of those ground rules, who knows what they look like. So, we'll find out. I'll find out. Other goals for calendar year 2024 that we just started. Is there anything else you want to add?
Finish half of what we get going.
Well, we got, and maybe I should just take this one off the list because we're not gonna have time to do all that, any more stuff that we already have.
Well, it would be good to have a calendar, a planned calendar, it really would, in terms of what are we saying we're gonna have done, and when we think. Or when do we have to have stuff?
Outside of the calendar of events that we have for the reval,
Yeah.
I think we could potentially put together a calendar. when we
We
want to try to
already
address
have
stuff.
one.
Well, no,
It comes from the DOR.
when do I want to address other stuff that we're working on, you know?
Yeah.
What do we want to have on the website? Well, we already have a tentative calendar that we want to have something up and ready for March 31st. Doesn't have to be all done,
Yeah.
but it has to be something up and ready for the 31st. The how to read your vision card thing needs to be done before,
Yeah,
well then.
because the basic things like when to send out the exemption forms, when they do
Yeah,
that, all
that's all.
that's all in the
Mandated.
DOR calendar.
Yeah, that's all. So that,
In a CEOT, nothing changes on that, so.
So, maybe we should put together a calendar. I'll see if I can.
Take that on, Brian. I think that'd be good for you. Brian's doing the calendar.
Jesus says that to me all the time.
Brian's on the calendar. Do it. Do it.
I had an idea for a calendar, but I don't think.
Do it.
I don't think
Does it have anything to do with swimsuits? Because I'm not doing that.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
You saw that on the news?
No, they're all women's clubs and something.
Lindsay Pond, what is that, retirement community?
Yes, and all the women who play piano or gardening behind that thing,
Yeah.
they were in.
Let's move on.
It's the first I've heard.
Oh, it's fun, it really is fun.
Thank you.
Linden Farms, I guess it is, it's a retirement community.
All right, what's that?
Schedule a future Zoom session for a public Q&A with Nate.
We should ask you about that too.
It slipped my mind, to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
wanted to go next, slipped my mind, so.
So that's not next month.
Well, what's our calendar look like? Because, we're gonna be doing an executive session on the 22nd, we'll be doing our open session on the 29th. So we're into February, and by February, what are we trying to do? Do we have anything else that we?
Yes, and get ready for the presentation.
So, do
Start
we have-
early March.
Should we have a time sometime, maybe we do the second meeting in February for Nate? Is that too late, too soon?
What kind of questions are you posing to?
We're gonna have public come to us with questions
Oh.
for Nate. The intention was anyway to do that, because there seemed to be, when Nate came to us as an introductory thing, there were several people who were expressing frustration on not having been able to ask questions. And they didn't know he was coming, or they knew he was coming, but didn't know it was gonna be Zoom, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to have him come sometime when he can just answer questions from German folks.
What do we want to do the first week of February? What do we have done?
What do we pay him, 150 an hour?
I have no idea.
I think
It's not my contract, I don't look at it.
Oh,
No,
yeah, it wouldn't be for anything less than that.
It's
That's only 1,000 a
Probably
day.
not bad.
That's only 1,000 a day for something like that.
It's probably not bad. Anyway, not appropriate for this discussion now, because we just want to get.
I was wondering, where is it gonna be a cost?
There's gonna be a
We're
cost.
have to absorb.
There's gonna be a cost. Well, you just signed off on
I
a
know.
month's worth of stuff, you know what that looks like.
Yeah, I do. And that's what I said, that's like.
So, is there some reason not to do it sooner in February? What's the first meeting in February is?
Well, the 29th we're meeting in January.
Right.
He did say today, things right now are a little bit quieter.
Something like February 12th, isn't it? Is that a holiday? No, the holiday's the 19th, right? Oh, but the 12th, we wouldn't be able to get the water room.
Do we want to just try to have an additional day? It's just this meeting.
What?
I mean,
A non-Monday, is that what you're asking?
Monday.
Oh. We could do that, if that's the pleasure of the board.
Monday Night Football's no longer there, so I don't care what.
Well, I was just thinking, it just seems to be something that's unresolved, and I'd like to get it done.
Have at home.
So perhaps we could, I'll see what I can do about finding a different day. Is there a day of the week that doesn't work for anybody? Let's say early February.
Well,
Yeah.
Rita, what about you? You have all sorts of commitments at night, moving stuff around. You're the key.
No, not just, some of us have expressed difficulty with certain nights.
Yeah.
Like I have difficulty with Tuesday nights, just always, so.
It's about the time it starts and ends for me. So,
Yeah, you can't get here before 6:30.
yeah.
It's unreasonable to expect it to be here before 6:30, yes.
Well,
It's difficult.
It was on Mondays, now it's not. On Tuesdays, it's gotta be,
No, I'm not doing Tuesday.
56, okay. And Wednesday,
I have scouts. No.
Wednesday's just really hard for me to do.
Goodness, I have scouts.
Okay, so that leaves us with Thursday and Friday.
Get rid of that.
So,
So, you want me to try to schedule something early February on Thursday? That's just me, essentially.
well, I'm just wondering if we want to do something like that, because it looks like we're running out of
Runway?
space. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
We can check
mean, we
with
can
him
do
to
it.
see what his schedule is and propose that to him
Early Feb.
I mean, even,
on Thursday.
yeah. Like that January 29th week, that's the beginning of February too, isn't it?
Oh, that's true.
30th, 31st would be
Because I want to
February
spend
1st.
two
2
nights
nights together.
together. Because I miss you guys when I'm not with you.
You see me all the time.
I do. All right, I will shoot for something on a Thursday in early February for just me. And God knows who will show up. If nobody, okay, he gets to go home early.
I was gonna ask you, you asked me one of the things we could bring up today is,
No, I wasn't asking. but-
no, he was,
Oh,
and the thing is, why don't we have him go and do the inspection on the condos?
Inspection on condos?
Do the condos, review, go visit the condos.
Because it's
Assessor.
not a Vision's contract.
They're already
All the vision condos.
Mike's already doing this, yeah.
Yeah, Mike's doing all that.
Okay.
We weren't, that was the first we heard of anybody needing to follow up on the condos.
Well, because we had seen so many of them, we knew there were so many different types. And we also know that they're in different locations, even within their own complexes. And so there's got to be a variability, some sort of factor in there. And I don't know.
So Vision is contracted to do that.
Yeah.
So
They
we don't need Nate to do
They
that.
got everybody now. They have everybody.
There are 3 people doing everybody.
No?
Well, those are the field people.
Right now, yeah.
But
Mike,
Well, that's what I mean,
Mike
sorry.
himself will do all the commercial stuff,
Yep,
Yeah.
with Steve Whalen.
right.
Steve has sent out all the INEs to all the commercial
Already?
companies.
Yep.
Those are all been processed, mailed, everything.
Yep. Okay. That's what I have on the agenda. We are now moving to closing comments. Nobody in the public. And if we see no hands go up over there, we'll give it a second in case somebody's fishing for a button. And I'm not seeing anything. I don't see anything. Any board comments? Please.
Of course. Sarah, I'm so sad. I really am. And all I know is the only fair payback to us who lived and breathed and so appreciate your presence and stuff like that is that you gotta go out and find somebody to replace you who's as smart as you are and it works as hard as you do and communicates so well and
You know,
I'm sure there's someone listening right now.
yeah, I'm sure you're gonna go find him because people, like birds of a feather flock together, right? They do. So you must know somebody in your group.
I don't think there's anything in the town bylaws that a person to stay on a committee cannot miss so many meetings. You know, we had something like that.
That's right.
We
You're
don't have
absolutely right.
So you could,
You're absolutely
We
right.
don't have that.
just
But-
miss so many meetings and you'd still be a member.
You need to
Good job.
make the decision that you need to make. She's already told us what the decision is. And if we could convince her to change it,
Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
but thank you for what you've done so far, because
That's good.
we've had so much to do, and you've picked up several fairly large pieces. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you got the
And you could
damn
put her on
report,
ad
you,
What?
Ad
They
hoc.
would put you on
Yeah.
the ad
Put you in charge of all the ad hoc committees.
You can't put me in admin.
she got
No.
ad hoc faster
Oh,
than
ad
I
hoc.
am the glasses.
Well, I've told you, I want to get the first 2 done, I didn't really care after that.
Yes, you have to, at some point.
I have a year.
You beat me. But
It's not a competition, Jack.
other comments from the board?
Thank you. But do help us.
Hearing none, we will be holding our next meeting on January 22nd, the location to be determined. It will be an executive session to talk about, you're up, to talk about
Exemptions.
exemptions.
And then we have our regular one, there's another one.
And the following week, on January 29th, we'll be meeting in the Bellato Room.
Right.
And agendas will follow. So, and maybe I'll get them right for a change.
So these are more abatement hearings, is that what we're essentially saying?
No, exemption.
No, exemptions.
It's just exemption hearings?
It's not a
They're not
hearing.
hearings,
It's
we're just gonna look over to make sure they have all their.
Because we're looking at personal data,
Right.
we can't
Because
review them in a public forum, so
Yeah,
we're
they have-
having them in a
They
private
have to
session.
supply us with their tax returns and
Income information, a whole bunch of
information.
stuff.
So they
Has
come
to be
in
proud.
to do the presentation of materials?
They've already submitted their materials.
There are already materials in?
This is from last year, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I know in the past we gave them a chance to, this is the other world.
That was the only time that's ever happened.
Mr. Chair, do we have meetings set for February?
We do.
Because
Maybe another one.
I had on my agenda to check on the dates. And I think the first.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, it's not there. It's not. Hold on. But I printed it off. Printed it off. I will unfortunately get back to you. Oh,
There
no.
was any minutes, wasn't there?
We can just send notes.
No,
Send notes for those dates.
where's the thing that I had that had the,
I'm sorry.
nope, don't go away. Because everybody wants to go away. I gave it to you. It had the
Give it to you.
Zoom stuff, the one that had the pink Zoom stuff on it.
Oh, the pink stones.
I think it had the pink Zoom stuff on it. February 5th.
Okay. And then after that, we haven't decided.
After that, we have not decided. So we have February 5th also at Town Hall.
I could do the 12th, but the 19th is not
That's a holiday,
yeah.
I
Okay,
think.
let's do the 12th.
The 19th is school break,
Right,
yeah.
so,
Yeah, then we do 12, let's do 12.
well, we are trying to set up some time for Nate too, so we're not sure what we'll need by then.
Okay.
And do we need to do weeks of consecutive meetings? So let me,
Well,
right now we have February 5th. I don't know anything beyond that.
Well, take a week off to relax before you go into the total, that's it.
Any other agenda items or comments or motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Any discussion about the motion to adjourn? Hearing none? All in favor?
That's what it would be too.
Aye, we are closing at 9:09.